Kia ora, everyone. Today, my topic is Beyond Grades: How Assessment Can Cultivate Future-Ready Resilient Thinking. Do you remember what it feels like to fail an exam? Do you use that score as motivation to work harder, or does it make you doubt your intelligence? In today's education system, too many children are defined by their grades, with their worth often confined to a single report card. Yet, we rarely encourage them to learn from failure or to recognize the courage behind attempts and the potential for growth. In truth, failure is not something to fear. It is an essential part of the journey towards success. The important thing is not how high the score is, but whether students learn determination, reflection, and problem solving skills along the way. Therefore, we need a new way to view assessment. It should not merely be code, hard numbers, but rather a tool for cultivating essential future competence, helping children discover their potential, learn to face challenges, and gradually refine themselves through continuous effort. However, there is often a gap between such ideals and reality. As a music teacher, I once had a profoundly moving experience that led me to reflect on the true meaning of exams and assessment. Dear friends, as a music teacher, my job is to ignite children's passion for music. However, I once realized that I might have extinguished that passion myself. I once had a student called Sarah. She was a model student, performing with a technical precision and flawlessly. After a crucial music exam, she unsurprisingly earned the highest score. Excellent. However, instead of being overjoyed, she quietly approached me and said, Teacher, the exam is over. I don't think I will ever want to touch this piece again. That excellent rating wasn't a badge of honor for her. It was the exhaustion of relief, a musical full stop. The same day, another student, Lily, sought me out. She adored music and her eyes always sparkled with passion. Although her technical foundation was shaky, her performances were full of emotion, but inevitably contained flaws. Following the grading criteria, I awarded her a B. When she saw the grade, the light in her eyes dimmed instantly. She whispered, Teacher, do I really have no talent? That B felt like a verdict condemning her passion, rather than providing a guidance for the future. Two students in one day, one excellent, one good. Yet I had lost a soul no longer passionate about music and gained another trapped by self doubt. In that moment, I was profoundly shaken. Is our meticulously designed assessment system truly cultivating musicians or stifying them? How have grades, a tool designed to master learning outcomes, become the greatest obstacle to passion and growth? Today, I would like to discuss this issue with you all. Traditional educational assessment is often viewed as a tool for measuring learning outcomes, ultimately resulting in a score or grade. However, as Bald in 2007 emphasizes in his concept of sustainable assessment, the evaluation process itself should be a core component of learning, not merely an endpoint. This means that assessment should not only answer the question of how much students have learned, but also help them to reflect on why they are learning and how they can be sure that they have fully mastered a subject. When children can use assessment to reflect on what their learning methods and understand their process, they transform passive recipients into proactive learners with a voice. This shift reduces self-doubt stemming from grades and cultivates the capacity for lifelong learning. In the study of ecology and complex systems, Holling in 1973 introduced the concept of resilience, emphasizing that systems do not merely pursue stability, but continuously reorganize and regenerate in response to disturbances and changes. If education is viewed as a learning ecosystem, student failure becomes an opportunity for the system to adopt and renew itself rather than representing an endpoint. According to the adaptive cycle theory, growth encompasses four stages: exploration, accumulation, disintegration, and reorganization. Failure often marks the beginning of reorganization. In other words, if we constantly pursue stability in terms of scores, we may advertently diminish children's learning resilience. However, if we treat failure as experimentation and view mistakes as a natural part of learning, we can truly nurture learners who are capable of achieving long-term growth in an uncertain future. When it comes to the future of assessing education and ecology, single dimensional measurement just cannot handle the diversity and uncertainty that come with complex systems. As Curtin and Parker in 2014 say in Foundations of Resilience Thinking, if you want to manage and learn effectively, you have to go beyond just one subject and understand problems as a whole. The same idea works for education assessment too. Instead of just looking at the grades, we should also think about how students are feeling, their attitudes, and how they deal with problems. This would give a better picture of what they are capable of. If teachers can get kids to understand academic buoyancy, they can help them bounce back from setbacks and see how they are growing by reflecting on their own actions. A system like this is great for helping people in their studies straight away, but it also helps to make people stronger, more creative, and more willing to keep on going. These people will be able to thrive in tomorrow's complex society. So I'm going back to being a music teacher. I'm not just someone who hands out scores after a performance anymore. I'm trying to turn the classroom into a laboratory for formative assessment. When students place a wrong note, I don't see it as a mistake to deduct points for, but as a valuable teaching opportunity. We take a moment to figure out why the note was missed. Is it about the rhythm, the fingers, or the understanding? We set ourselves that the improvement goals and then test them out in the next practice session. Assessment is not a final destination, but more like a series of checkpoints that help you along your learning journey. We are not just checking that they are doing things right in the moment, but also how well they can bounce back from the mistakes, learn, adapt, and keep on going. This is precisely how resilience thinking is manifest in education. Rather than attempting to eliminate distractions and mistakes from learning, we now design an assessment system that enables the students to learn from these distractions and mistakes, thereby growing stronger. So, friends, next time we see a student, whether they have just played a piece perfectly but seems bored, or they are just a bit down after an assessment. Let's not just hand out a score. Let's make a change together. So from today, let's change how we assess performance. Instead of seeing it as a verdict, we should think of it as a gem for building resilience. Rather than asking what score did you get, we should be asking what challenges did you overcome today, or what did you learn from this attempt. The way we evaluate ultimately shapes our children. whether they become fragile perfectionists learning for grades or resilient lifelong learners prepared for any future challenge. After all, the way we evaluate ultimately shapes our children, determining whether they become fragile perfectionists who learn for grades or resilient lifelong workers who are prepared for any future challenge. Music's true magic lies not in flawless notes, but in the moving journey within each melody, from uncertainty to harmony, from setback to transcendence. Is our education not the same? Thank you for your listening.